U.S. allies in the Gulf are feeling the fire of Iran's missile arsenal, as Ghadr, Kheibar Sheikan and Zolfaghar strikes slam into bases that host American assets across the region. On camera, Iran has now showcased the moment its missiles were fired toward Arab states that house U.S. forces and equipment, turning the battlefield into a spectacle meant for global broadcast. With the words "Game Over U.S.A" stamped in English on the missiles themselves, Mojtaba Khamenei is sending a short but firm message to Donald Trump in this second phase of the war. Iran has released a new video showing a series of missile launches on July 13th, explicitly framed as strikes targeting U.S. assets and the bases that support them, turning the operations into a cinematic display for domestic and foreign audiences alike. The footage includes the launch of different classes of missiles, Ghadr, Kheibar Sheikan and Zolfaghar, highlighting the range and diversity of Iran's arsenal, from medium-range ballistic systems to more advanced, maneuverable weapons that Tehran touts as hypersonic capability. In the video, the phrase "Game Over USA" is clearly written in English on the missile bodies, a deliberate choice to ensure that the message reaches American and international viewers and underscores the psychological warfare element of the launch. Another poster affixed to the missiles depicts a two-pronged sword cutting off a hand, a powerful visual symbol meant to represent Iran severing the grip of U.S. influence or punishing those it sees as aggressors against its people and allies. The video even shows a printed headline from the Washington Post stuck onto one of the missiles, signaling that Tehran is closely watching Western media coverage and wants to fold that narrative into its own messaging about the conflict. In this latest wave of attacks, Iran's missiles have struck U.S. bases spread across Kuwait, Bahrain and Jordan, extending the battlefield across multiple countries and reminding Washington that its network of regional installations is now within range. Tehran frames these launches as direct retaliation for U.S. strikes on Qeshm Island and Bandar Abbas, portraying the barrage as part of a tit-for-tat cycle in which every American move on Iranian soil will be answered with hits on U.S. positions abroad. Iran on July 13 warned neighboring states that their territory must not be used as a launchpad for U.S. military attacks. Tehran cautioned that any country serving as the origin of an assault could itself be targeted in retaliatory strikes. Iran's foreign ministry denounced the latest U.S. attacks, calling them clear violations of the UN Charter. The Iranian government further accused Washington of breaching the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding. Not just Kuwait and Bahrain, Mojtaba is now unleashing missile fury on Jordan as Iran widens its strikes on U.S. bases in the region. Iran says it has struck U.S. positions in Jordan, claiming Muwafaq Salti Air Base was among the key targets hit. A U.S. base hosting F-15s and F-35s has reportedly come under Iranian ballistic missile fire in the latest round of escalation. Fuel tanks and an ammunition dump at Jordan's Prince Hassan Air Base were reportedly set ablaze in Iran's retaliatory barrage. The IRGC claims a critical FPS strategic radar system at Ahmed al-Jabba Base has been knocked out of action. Iran says its missiles have struck a Patriot air defense battery at the U.S. base in Ali Salem, Kuwait. The IRGC boasts that a U.S. drone command center was crushed in its strike on American facilities in Bahrain. Iran claims it has hit a helicopter maintenance hub and a P-8 hangar in Bahrain, escalating its message to Washington. IRGC statement said, and I quote, "Heroic nation of Iran, your steadfast steps, 135 days and nights of presence on the stage an unprecedented funeral in history, which you and the noble nation of Iraq have made, have surprised the world, encouraged the fighters of Islam, and confused and terrified the great Satan, and he is taking every measure to compensate for this great defeat. Last night, following the operations of the IRGC Navy in stopping two offending ships, which had endangered shipping in the Strait of Hormuz by turning off their systems and moving on an illegal route, the U.S. child-killing army, which was the driver of these illegal and dangerous movements, once again revealed its brutality by invading the coastal bases of the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Zealous fighters of Islam, in the first stage of response to these aggressions, set fire to several large rocket warehouses and fuel tanks of Prince Hassan Air Base in Jordan with rockets and drones. The evil and war-loving regime of America, which has spent a few times without war and military evil since its establishment, and has not learned from the recent failures in facing the fighters of Islam, and continues its aggression. In response to these evils, in the second stage of their countermeasures, the IRGC's aerospace fighters smashed the important helicopter maintenance and repair centers, the hangar of the P-8 electronic warfare aircraft, and the command and control center of the American child-killing army drones at the American base in Sheikh Isa, Bahrain. We bring to the attention of the honorable people of Iran, the proud fighters of the IRGC Aerospace Force, in the third stage of the retaliatory operation and response to the aggression of the arrogant and aggressive American regime, completely destroyed the fuel tanks and the Patriot air defense system at the American base in Ali Salem, Kuwait, as well as an FPS strategic radar system at the Ahmed Al-Jaber base. Strait of Hormuz is our land, and we will not allow a rebel and child-killing army from the other side of the world to continue its illegal interference in it." Unquote. The IRGC is vowing that its retaliation will continue, warning of more attacks to answer what it calls U.S. aggression. Iran launches a new wave of missiles and drones targeting U.S. military positions across the Middle East, according to Iranian state-linked media. State-linked Iranian outlets report massive retaliatory strikes against U.S. military bases following the latest American attacks. Tehran claims U.S. military bases and naval assets across the region are now under coordinated Iranian attack. Explosions are reported near a U.S. military base in Bahrain, with the Interior Ministry confirming security incidents. Reports claim direct impacts near the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain during the latest Iranian operation. Ballistic missiles were reportedly launched from western and central Iran as part of the new wave of attacks. Bahrain activates air raid sirens shortly after Iran launches its latest missile and drone barrage. The Gulf braces for another dangerous escalation as the US-Iran military confrontation continues to intensify. The latest Iranian operation comes after Washington expanded its military strikes across multiple locations inside Iran. US forces expand their military campaign as fresh strikes reportedly hit targets across southern and western Iran. A new wave of attacks is reported across more than a dozen Iranian cities, according to local media reports. Qeshm, Bandar Abbas, Bushehr, Abbas, and Abadan are among the locations reportedly targeted in the latest strikes. Iran International said, and I quote, Escalation News Telegram channel reported that the latest wave of attacks targeted a wider range of locations across southern and western Iran than previous strikes. According to the report, the targeted areas include Qeshm, Sirik, Bandar Abbas, Jast, Bushehr, Kondab, Bandar Mahahar, Bahrain, Andameshk, Desfal, Avaz, Abadan and Khorramshahr. The report could not be independently verified, and neither US nor Iranian authorities have immediately confirmed the full scope of the reported attacks. Unquote. After Iran's retaliatory attacks, the US rejects reports claiming American troops were killed in Kuwait. The latest US strikes appear significantly broader in scope than previous waves of attacks, according to emerging reports. A direct US-Iran military confrontation continues to unfold around the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says the strikes are intended to degrade Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. US Central Command said, and I quote, "At 5 p.m. ET today, US Central Command forces began launching more strikes against Iran to continue degrading their ability to attack civilian mariners and commercial ships freely transiting the Strait of Hormuz. The Commander-in-Chief has directed the strikes to hold Iranian forces accountable." Unquote. CNN reports Iran launched missiles and drones following attacks linked to global shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. US warplanes reportedly intercepted an Iranian cruise missile and shot down an attack drone during the latest escalation.